This is a Delta bathroom faucet that's leaking out of the handle, so I'm going to first start by shutting the water off and then letting the pressure off of each one. Just open it and let the pressure off. It's leaking out of the bottom of this handle right here, so I'm thinking it's probably an O-ring. But find the set screw, get the proper size Allen wrench for these, and loosen that real good. And you get that handle off there so you can get to the cartridge. After you loosen that, this one's kind of old faucet, so you might have to wiggle it around and get it off of there. But anyways, you can see the white part in the stem. There's a nut underneath that. You need to loosen that up so you can get the cartridge out of there. Take that nut off. Might have to wiggle that thing out of there. They're in there pretty tight with those O-rings. So I'm going to replace that little O-ring that's on there and the seats and springs that are down inside the faucet. You can see that little pocket down in there. That's a rubber seat with a spring on it, and that's basically what shuts the water on and off, is the seal between those. Just make sure when you pull that seat and spring out, you just look how it's oriented. That spring, the new spring, is actually cone shaped, so you just want to make sure you get those, going the right way. It goes in just like that, wide side down, and then just drop that in that little pocket. The seat, you need to get your fingers in there and make sure it goes down into that. You got to push it down into that pocket. Make sure the side of it doesn't get folded over or boogered or something. Just make sure you can feel if it goes in there all the way. You'll be able to feel it. So make sure that's in there real good, and then I'm going to replace that little O-ring on the cartridge. Sometimes those fail, and that can cause it to leak and drip a little bit. So put a new spring on there, and then there again, these things are pretty tight, especially with new O-rings and stuff. So you might have to get a little force to get it to go down in there, and then put your nut back on. I'm going to just set the handle on here, turn the water back on, and make sure it's not leaking still. I like to try with, I don't want to fix anything that doesn't need fixing. So I'm going to check and make sure it's not leaking out of there anymore. So I'll turn the water on, pull the handle off, and inspect that whole thing real good, and check it around the bottom. So pull the handle off, and unfortunately the O-rings didn't work. The cartridge is bad, so it's leaking out of the top of the cartridge. So I did get some of these just in case. Not too bad. I think these were 16 bucks a piece. I like to replace both of them, even though there's only one side leaking. There's no left and right on this particular faucet, these little cartridges, but it does come with a little plastic stopper. You got to get oriented in the right spot. So that little thing there either goes on the front or the back, depending on which side the cartridge is on, just to make sure your handle will stop in the right spot the way it's supposed to. So you might have to play around with that little thing a little bit. Before I put the nut on and the handle, I just kind of dry fit this thing and make sure my handle's turning and stopping in the proper spot. So got that on, and like I said, just make sure it's working the way it's supposed to. So don't throw those little plastic things away if they fall out of the package. So now that I'm sure that's where it needs to be, I'm going to put the nuts back on, tighten that down, dry everything off real good, and then turn the water back on and check it again before I tighten the handles down. So it's not really that difficult, really. There's only a couple things that could be wrong: O-rings or the cartridge. A lot of guys will just get cartridges and not mess with the O-rings, but sometimes on newer faucets, that's all they need. So I like to just check and make sure I'm not spending more money than I have to. So it could be a couple bucks or 30 bucks to fix. So not that bad, not too difficult. Make sure you get the water shut off, and take your old parts to Depot or wherever you get your plumbing stuff. Take the old pieces with you and have them matched up. If you're not comfortable doing that, somebody will do it for you. So I checked everything and tightened my handles back down, and no leaks, so good to go. Hope that helps.